So there's this guy on YouTube named Nightmare Fuel, and he made this video called The Left and Revolution. In it, he attacks the Justice Democrats, and of course goes after progressives. Because that's what people like this do. Now, one of Nightmare Fuel's main arguments against the Justice Democrats is that they're using Trump-like tactics. He doesn't explain what those tactics are, but I can pretty much sum it up as anything I don't like. But basically, here's the problem with criticizing the Justice Democrats. He also criticizes them as well for their appeals to gradualism, for their going against gradualism, and being like, no, we're just going to do this, we're going to do it now, because that's what we should do. And both times he's like, oh, God, how could you, sir? Well, here's the thing. The Justice Democrats are a political movement that need to win elections to get any power. They're going to do things that help them win elections, and we believe appealing to candidates by talking to them like normal people, not going there doing the Martin O'Malley thing, where they're like, oh, I'm going to point at you like this because researchers have told me people respond to this better than if I point to you with my finger. Now let me tell you some talking points I'm reading off a screen. No, we talk to people like they're normal people when we're doing things. When we're explaining our campaign, explaining our positions. Because that's what's been proven to help us win elections, one. And two, because we have more respect for the voters than that. It's the same thing when he's sitting there going, oh, why? No, you gotta do it gradually. You can't do it all at once. Well, here's the thing. The idea is we want to do all at once, that we don't want to actively sit there and do it slowly over 50 years. Are ideas that are extremely popular in the United States. Bernie Sanders got a room full of Trump voters to support the idea of Medicare for all and give him a standing ovation. These ideas are popular, Nightmare Fuel. And if we appeal to the American people, then we can win. And he also says, oh, it's not a dictatorship. You can't, you can't just make it, you gotta compromise. Well, here's the thing. When you appeal to the American people, you tend to win a lot of elections. And when you win a lot of elections, you have a better chance of implementing just straight versions of your policy without having to sit there and water it down 50 times. And he mentions how Obama was really good at compromising. Well, let's see how that worked for Barack Obama. He compromised on Obamacare. He didn't even try and push single payer. He tried pushing public option, and then got individual mandate, and Republicans still tried to repeal that over 60 times. Gradualism does not work. Compromise and reason do not work when the other side is unreasonable. And I'd argue having your plan, trying to repeal your own plan because someone on the other side did it, is extremely unreasonable. He also tries to make Justice Democrats sound like a monolith or a cult. And how these people, just want their way all the time. They also tries to make us sound as entitled and as spoiled as possible, because that's how it works. Because that's how it works. You gotta make your enemy sound stupid, and then no one will think, wait a minute, what are their ideas exactly? After all, look at how well that worked for Hillary Clinton. Wait a minute. No. Here's the thing, though. He seems to think Justice Democrats is like this monolith. Like there are 23 ideas there are 23 different sections of the platform, and you have to agree with all 23 of them. No, we can disagree on a lot of them. We can disagree on tons of things. The only thing you actively have to do, and Shank has said this several times at this point, the only thing you actively have to do is not take corporate or big money or PAC donors. That is all you have to do. He goes after non-interventionism, or as he calls it, isolationism, because, again, gotta make the other side sound as ridiculous as possible. Now, I could talk about his opinion on non-interventionism and why it's wrong another day. But to make it short, yes, if someone is threatening and is more than likely going to attack us, no one has an issue with attacking them. You make it sound like we have to be attacked first. No. If someone is obviously going to attack us, pretty much everyone is fine with attacking them back. Also, it has to be proven that they have the power to attack us, just so you know. At least in some cases. There were some Justice Democrats who were fine with intervening in North Korea. Personally, I would have been, but there was too much "then what" for me to fully say, no, just do it. But if we did intervene in North Korea, I wouldn't have any issue, honestly. So the last thing you mention is how, oh, Bernie Sanders wouldn't have won. You know, if you put Bernie up in like 2020 or something, he'd completely get destroyed. Which that isn't what he said, I'll admit, but it's the type of attitude people like that have. Now, keep in mind, Bernie Sanders is the same man who went to a complete nobody who like 5 political junkies knew, to someone who got 43.1% of the votes and won 23 states, to someone who is currently the most popular politician in America, currently active. He has a 60% approval rating nationally and an 80% approval rating in his home state of Vermont. That is more than any other congressman at the moment. And yet you're sitting there and saying, oh, Bernie would have failed. I mean, just look at him. No, he would have succeeded, and it's likely if the primaries were open, he would have won the primaries. Honestly, if the closed primaries weren't a thing, if the primaries were completely open to everyone, and you include independents and people who weren't registered as Democrats, and young voters, and things like that, which of course they don't do because they don't really want you to vote in these primaries, they want them to be a closed show, then I guarantee you Bernie Sanders would have won. He had a 12-point lead over Trump on the day of the election, which would have been extremely hard to knock down. I genuinely think someone who is the most popular politician in America can beat someone with a 35% approval rating. I'm just saying, looking back, you know? But anyway, that's it. I'm Ephrom, and good night.